Okay, so I wrote a note on Substack uh, that said I'm starting to notice that I'm code switching less and less, and I don't really know how I feel about that, and that I would provide y'all an update when I figured it out. Update, I still don't know how I feel about that, but let me tell you the story. So I normally don't work in a physical office, but there is one close to me, and every now and then me and my coworkers will meet up and go to the office together, and it's a lot of fun. I love them. They're phenomenal humans, and I have a really good team. I've been through a lot in the workplace over the years, and like this is one of the better teams I've been a part of, which I'm so grateful for. But I'm just starting to notice that like I keep slipping up more and more, or just like letting all fly, you know? So I was in the office, right, recently, and my friend, she FaceTimed me, right? And I answered with my earphones in, obviously. Like, I answered the call, and I put the phone to my face, and I was like, yeah, I'm in these people's office. And I said it pretty loud, and I also realized I had my earphones on, too. So, like, my voice was, like, louder than I thought it was, because, Apple is really good for the noise cancellation headphones, right? And so I was like, yeah, I'm in these people's office. And she was like, I can see that. I think it threw her off a little bit. It was so funny. But after I hung up, I was like, oh my God. I was like, what is going, like, did not care who was around, didn't care who heard me. I was just like, yeah, I'm in these people's office. Like, how I would talk to her normally is just how I continue to talk to her. But I've noticed in the past that, like, I'll talk a certain way to a friend if I know I'm somewhere else, or a mixed company, as we like to say or call it. But I didn't code switch this time. And the funny thing is like, normally if I had code switched, they would have code switched too, right? Because that's what usually happens. Like, we feel each other out, and we're like, we start talking a certain way even though nobody can hear her. So I just thought it was so interesting. But to the point of, I don't know how I feel about not code switching anymore, because, like, I don't know how to explain this. I'm gonna do my best in this voice note, but I feel like there's just some things that in our culture, when you're Black, across the diaspora, I don't care where you're from, and you're Black, that we just get, or like we just, navigate well. And I'm not sure if I'm cool with, like, not code switching as much, because, like, do I want everybody to be in on the I guess proverbial joke, like, in on what's the tea, what's going on, because I'll tell you, like, I've been in spaces where, like, I've mostly code switched, but then I have, like, these pockets of friends, and in, like, work group chats, I've had somebody hit me with our own slang, our own vernacular in a public chat. Like, for instance, I had one person be like, yes, queen, or slay. And I was like, whoa, like, I don't know. It's interesting. So I still have, like, a with it, because I just don't want everybody using what we use, per se, because it just doesn't land the same way, when it's amongst people from, the same background, like other Black people. But I don't know. So, like I said, I'm just not really sure how I feel about everybody being in on the proverbial joke. That's the way I could describe it. But yeah, I've noticed that more and more I'm starting to code switch less and less. And I don't know if it's a product of getting older, or if it's a product of me hosting these shows and getting tired of filtering myself, or what. But I just am slightly noticing it, and I catch myself and I'm like, ooh, was that you? Was it there? What? Huh? Yes. Okay. It was me. That was you. You said it. And you meant it. And you ain't changing it. So yeah. Anyway, that's my observation. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm still on the fence. Because I guess, like, the ultimate takeaway here is that when I am talking and reacting normally without my filter to someone who is Black, we understand the essence of time and place. But I feel like sometimes our counterparts, when they're in on the proverbial joke, they also don't understand the time and place nuances the way that we do, you know? Where it's like, we know we don't talk about that in this space, or we know we don't talk to each other like that in this chat in front of everybody else. It's almost like, you know, if you're Black, you probably heard this from a parent, grandparent, you know, from your elders, of like, what goes on in this house stays in this house, you know? And so I feel like it's kind of like that even with like us talking to each other, and not code switching, but then going into these other spaces and also not code switching. It's like they don't know that you can't take that, what you talk about between us, into the group public setting. It's like time and place is just not the strong suit. And so I don't know, I feel like that's where I'm like, I don't mind like being free, but then at the same time it's also like, I don't want to hear that in places I'm not supposed to hear it, you know? So that's why I'm still like sitting on that, ruminating on that, you know? Okay, y'all, that's my little musing for today, my little voice note. Yeah, I don't know, I just have a lot on my mind all the time, and so I don't always have the bandwidth to sit down and record a full episode, nor do I, you know, think that every single thing deserves a full episode. But I feel like this conversation will continue to be explored, and I'll keeping on and keeping y'all updated on how it feels to code switch less and less. I know some of y'all have replied to me about my note about that and asked me to keep you updated. I would ask that y'all do the same, because I heard that in the comments that some of y'all are doing that too, of like code switching less and less. And I'm really curious as to how that feels. And if you've had a similar experience of like, okay, you're not code switching now, but now you're hearing your vernacular and your inside jokes and the way you like your inside things being used everywhere else, like, and in ways that we wouldn't use it in certain spaces, you know? So anyway, just let me know. I'm really curious about what y'all think about that and if you've experienced that too. All right, this has been your official third voice note of the mediocre Black woman. Okay. All right.